of the teachers. We have had traditionally a system whereby if a teacher was not a good teacher, rather than terminate, and for lack of better terms, but when you think about, and it was something I really had to pray about, when you think about, here's a teacher that's been in the classroom for 10 years, totally ineffective, and you think you've had 10 different sets of children to be destroyed. But I don't believe in just pushing people out. I was very successful with many of my teachers in saying, just pulling them aside, what will be tolerated, what will not be tolerated. While we're here for the best interest of the children. Many of them I found did not have the skills. I purchased books. I did one-on-one professional development with them. I would assign them to a strong mentor teacher in the building. I would monitor their lesson plans, frequent observations in the classroom, giving them feedback. And what I found was most teachers wanted help. Now, the truth of the matter is I did encounter a couple in my entire 9 years who did not want the help. The sad part about it is the amount of paperwork and documentation that I had to go through in order to remove them. But Memphis City Schools did not believe in removing teachers. What they did was just relocate. So even though they were out of my building, they were gone to another location to do the same thing. Many of the initiatives that this district, but this administration is pushing, for instance, looping. I've been in this position 3 years. I encountered looping when I was when I first assumed the role of principalship. And Dr. Jerry House used to always do our professional development. And one thing that stuck with me that she said to us about looping, you take a great teacher and allow them to loop. If you allow a bad teacher to loop, you destroy that child forever. They never will recover from 2 years of poor instruction. I heard that. And what I saw with looping, I take my Miss Boyd, which is phenomenal. But Miss Boyd was scratching. She didn't want to teach second grade. She was first grade teacher. But I finally convinced her, and after she looped with those children, she came back and told me after about 6 weeks, I just want to tell you thank you. I didn't want to do this, but she agreed, I'll do it if that's what you want. But she came back and said thank you, and she saw the benefits. She already knew those children. She already knew those families, which meant what? She could move their instruction ahead. In practicing looping, and this being one of my strategies, Garden View Elementary became the clue center for all of the schools in the neighborhood. Why? Because we had more clue students than any of the other sites. So therefore, the clue students from 7 different schools were bused in to Garden View for their clue instruction.
Okay. So you have you have quality of teachers.
Quality of teachers.
Funding.
And
then what would maybe be your third one?
I think my third one would have to be professional development. I see the benefits of professional development. It's so crucial, as I stated once before, in presenting professional development to my staff. That would include brain research. I'm also a very strong component of multiple intelligences. Jeff Howard, and I think that research for teachers to identify what the learning modalities of the students in their classroom are, I think that's extremely important. We took multiple intelligences and even took it to the home and helped parents to identify their individual children's learning strengths and how they learn best. So I think the professional development piece is extremely important.
Okay. And how would you take, just to follow up, those 3 educational priorities and having been vested in the system, how would you then take your role in the city council and address those concerns?
I think that it would be important to, first off, what I'm finding is I have a problem, number one, with people sitting on the city council and all of this back and forth and back and forth. And yet still what we had were people who had not been in a public school since they attended or unless they were invited over for a program. So I think that as a city council representative, since school funding is such a major issue, it's important that they actually go into the schools. And I think, personally, I think it should be mandated for every city council representative to visit a school within their district a minimum of once per month.
Would you try to pass that?
I most certainly would, very adamantly.
If you were thinking about the top educational issues in your district, would those be the same as the three top in the system, or are there three?
There are others. I have a lot of them. Okay, and I think that comes from my background, okay? One of the things, and then having my daughter-in-law a teacher, my niece a teacher, I have a cousin who's a teacher, and as I share with you, we spend a lot of time on Sundays. I cook, and everybody comes over, because nobody brings anything, but they do clean up the kitchen. I give them that. They will clean up, but that's the only time. Most of them are young, so they don't get turnip greens and collard greens and okra and all these good vegetables. But one of the things I do is I listen intensely to the conversation and what their experiences. For instance, last Sunday, my niece, who's a teacher, said that she was so disgruntled. She said, "Aunt Rhoda, I just don't know what to do. I have a class. She teaches second grade, and she said, I actually feel like I'm teaching kindergarten." So, policies, the way we change board policies, that policy was changed to not retain any children pre-K through third grade, okay? But now what's happening is catching up because you did not retain them. Now you have them in the classroom, all in there together. And she feels bad because she says she has about 3 children in there who are actually on grade level. And the problem is she feels bad because those parents didn't send their children there to tutor the other children. So I think that what we've done with policy is hampering our educational system. Another thing that I look at is the fact that our teachers do not have time to teach. I go back and give you the example I used when I would get new teachers, because I do think that, and that's another issue, higher institutions. Because many, when I would receive, I also, Gardnerville was a site for student teachers. They used to love to send student teachers to Gardnerville because they knew they would be nurtured. Especially those who, and we had a very good relationship with the University of Memphis. Most of, I would have a load every year, but I would place those student teachers with one of my quality first class teachers. They never had the experience. That little student teaching they get during their last semester of college or the last year of college is not sufficient. So I would allow time for, and teachers don't have time now. The curriculum with all the technology, you got to put the cheer on Stanford Fab. Every time the classroom has to get on there for so many times. And that's what I hear them say. We really don't have time to teach. And a veteran teacher would tell you how they had time to take a child who was not achieving and actually do one-on-one with them while children participated in their different learning centers. So these are other concerns that I have, and it's what administration, and once again, like I said, the city council need to go into the classroom. Guess who else needs to go? The school board, the superintendent, the associate superintendent, all these people who make decisions on instruction, but they only go into the school when they're invited to be the speaker.